You are listening to the Female Entrepreneurs Network podcast. And today we're going to talk about emotions. Emotions. I want to know, have you ever felt like someone cut you down in front of a group, leaving you feeling small and exposed? It happened to me this week. And I want to share the lesson that I took away from it because I handled it marvelously. And I would love for more people to handle stuff like that marvelously. So stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Ayla, and for over a decade I've been dedicated to helping entrepreneurs thrive. Welcome to the Female Entrepreneurs Network podcast. Here we focus on personal growth so your business can grow alongside you. Discover how to optimize your business, elevate your mindset, and truly feel and act like a CEO. This is more than just business, it's about transforming your entire entrepreneurial journey. Join me on this path to unlock your fullest potential.
Welcome back to the podcast, my lovely ladies. It has been a hot minute since I recorded my last episode. There was a children's holiday, of course, again, always. We went to Paris, just my husband and me. My parents came here to look after the kids. It was our 10-year anniversary. We never got married in a big way. We never went on a honeymoon, anything like that. So I said, okay, for our 10-year anniversary, let's do something special and romantic. So we went away to Paris for a long weekend. It was amazing. I'd forgotten how amazing Paris is. To be fair, they cleaned it up very nicely for the, what do you call it in English? The Olympic Games. So the city was clean and I felt safe all the way. And it was really, it was a really lovely experience. It's so good to get away from everything for just a few days. But I am country girl visiting the big city. So I took a massive flu home with me from Paris. I was sitting in the train back and I was saying to my husband, okay. I knew I was having the beginnings of a cold before we went. And it's like my body postponed it until after we came back. And on the train back, with each hour that passed, I just said, oh my God, I'm going to be so just sick. And indeed, the next morning I woke up, no voice and just sick. It took me 2 weeks, 2 whole weeks. Normally, when you have a cold or something, maybe there's a day or two that you don't feel well. But this, took me a long time. So it took me a long time to start recording again as well. This week I wanted to talk to you about feeling emotions. This is something I have been working on so hard this last year. I have been doing a quantum leap year, if you want to call it that way. Yeah, I needed something. I was so unhappy. This time last year even, I was so unhappy. And then at the beginning of this year, 2024, I got like a divine intervention pointing me in all kinds of ways. And I followed it and I came onto the podcast of the Manifestation Babe. She has a marvelous podcast. In one of those podcasts I was listening to, she explained how she did a quantum leap year, what she did exactly in the nitty-gritty details. It was so inspiring and I decided to do the same. And so I followed her sort of protocol to do it. And it has brought me so much. It's incredible. I turned my life around. I went from unhealthy to healthy, finally losing the weight I've been keeping on for years. I am a better mother. I'm a better wife. My company is growing. My business is doing fine. I have a record profit this year. And it's just, everything's going so well. So that's lovely. It worked. If you want to know what I did, I can make an episode about that. Of course, just let me know. Over on Instagram would be best, I guess. Send me a DM. And if it interests you, I will record that episode for you. One of the things I've been working on massively is just mindset, your attitude towards the world and how you handle your own emotions, how you work with those. Because I feel there's a lot that we learn in life, in school, as people, but handling your emotions is not one of them. So actually feeling your emotions and then letting them go is something I was not familiar with. I am very good at holding grudges and playing scenes over and over in my mind and stuff like that. So what happened to me was I am working for a client. I'm working in a project group. So there are multiple people. There are like 30 people in there. We have a Slack project, like there are multiple Slack channels. I have a problem with my computer. There's something with my new computer and it's acting weird. And for weeks, I can't find the solution. So for weeks, I've been individually, every time I spoke to someone, asking them, do you work with a MacBook maybe? And with this specific program that we use? Because I have a problem with the combination of those two. No, nobody had the problem. Nobody worked with a MacBook, etc. And one day, my patience was just gone because I need this program to properly do my job. Without it, I can't. And so I've been slacking in doing what I need to do because my program isn't working right. I was fed up with it. So I took to the general channel and I just barged in there and I tagged everyone, just one of those add here. So everyone in the channel gets a notification. Because it's important to me and I can't find a solution and I needed everyone's attention to it. So I did that. I asked, does anyone here work with a MacBook and this program? Because I have a problem and I need a solution. Then one of the team members, I don't know them. I never work with them directly. They're in a different part of the project. They responded by saying this is abuse of this channel and it's not to be used for non-critical questions like this, and please read this document that we have on Slack hygiene. I felt attacked. I felt my face burning red and I reread the comment several times. My first instinct was to grab my phone and distract myself, to numb the emotions that were bubbling up. I guess that's what I used to do, avoid, scroll, ignore. And then later I would replay the situation over and over in my mind and then wishing I'd said something differently or done something differently. But this time I decided to feel it. I was noticing the emotions and the shame that I got called out in front of the group. I felt belittled, honestly, because they said, this is a non-critical question. Well, yeah, maybe it is for you, but for me, I can't do my job properly. And if I can't do my job properly, there won't be any money for you to do your job. So, yeah, critical, actually. I don't know. I immediately read the document on Slack hygiene that they sent to me. Nowhere in there was it mentioned that you cannot do an add here to notify everybody. And so I didn't feel like I broke the rules. I just felt like after weeks of trying, I needed everyone's attention. And then the immediate sort of response is that you want to defend yourself. You want to go in there and say, hey, blah, blah, blah. It might be non-critical to you. But I decided to not give away my power like that. I just apologized because in the meantime, I had another conversation with another colleague who replied, and then we stepped into a separate thread. So I apologized and I said, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you would be notified of the entire thread, of the entire conversation. And then they said, no, we weren't. We were notified of your one question, but it's really annoying if you do it because it's like you're barging into the office and tapping everybody on the shoulder and disrupting meetings and just saying, I have a problem, I need someone to solve it. When I heard that, I figured, actually, that's exactly what I wanted to do. Because after weeks of not getting there, I just wanted to get the answer and I wanted to get my job done. But instead of replying to that and defending myself, etc., I wrote it out. I wrote the emotions out in my body. I said to myself, okay, I feel attacked. I feel belittled. I feel ashamed as well. I did something wrong. I bothered somebody. I don't like that. But I apologized. And yeah, I let it go. Normally, an incident like that, the reaction I would have had would have drained my energy. If I would have distracted myself with my phone, etc., doing something else, I would stay stuck in those feelings of anger or shame, and I would be replaying the moment like a broken record in my mind and rereading all the messages several times. that is not just exhausting. It would have stopped me from moving forward, and it would have kept me in the role of a victim. While it's really not that important what happened, it was, if you reason it away, they were probably stressed about something and got really annoyed when they had a Slack notification while they were just in the zone, which I then think if you're in a zone, maybe mute your Slack, something like that. But instead of going there and blaming them or saying, oh, it's their fault, I just said, okay, this is how I feel. This is what happened. Okay. How helpful is it to stay stuck in emotions like that, to let them rule your day or even your week, depending on what happens, on what scale? It doesn't change what actually happened, and it just leaves you emotionally drained and disempowered. So, yeah, I felt the shame. That was really one of the things I don't like. I don't think anybody likes to be attacked in front of a group. I reflected on that a bit, like, why does it bother me so much? Is it that bad? I was like, no, it's not that bad. It might be annoying for someone, so it's okay if they call me out on it if I didn't follow some unwritten rule, because it wasn't a written rule. You see, I still feel the need to defend myself there a bit, going, it wasn't a written rule. They were probably stressed. So I'm really happy that I worked through those emotions, because otherwise I would still be going over that and saying, keeping sort of defending myself to myself in my head, while they probably have moved on a long time ago. So reflecting on why it hit me so hard made all the difference, because by the end of the day, I felt calm. I had no regret about what I said or what I should have said. I wasn't replaying the moment. I wasn't feeling powerless. And I actually felt proud because I didn't give my power away. And most importantly, it was over. I wasn't carrying it with me anymore. Hey there, busy entrepreneur. Are you feeling overwhelmed, trying to juggle your business and family, wishing you had more clarity on where to focus your limited time? If so, I've got something special just for you. I'm running a free 5-day challenge called From Overwhelmed to Focus, 5 Days to Clarity. It's designed to help entrepreneurs like you uncover the first spark of your vision for an aligned life and business without adding more to your plate. In just 5 days, we'll clear the mental clutter, define what really matters, and set you up to take confident, aligned action. You'll walk away feeling lighter, more focused, and excited about the next steps in your journey. It's all about those small wins that make a big difference, and you deserve that clarity. The challenge kicks off on Monday, January 20th, and I'd love for you to join us. Sign up now at female-entrepreneurs.com/challenge. It's completely free. That's female-entrepreneurs.com/challenge. Remember, clarity starts with a single step. Let this challenge be yours. I can't wait to see you inside. So, here's why I learned why that matters. First of all, I want to go into why do we numb ourselves? Because I think that it's not something I think, it's scientifically proven. So when we feel a strong emotion, our brain activates the amygdala. This is the part that's responsible for fight or flight. This can be a very overwhelming feeling. So instinctively, we try to avoid it because, well, it's, this story. It used to be about tigers and running away or fighting. And that, yes, of course, that's overwhelming. That's supposed to be. But being called out in an online channel is nowhere near that important. So I guess I understand why your brain wants to avoid it, because it's not a great feeling. Studies have showed that distraction is a very common coping mechanism because it provides immediate relief from discomfort. That's nice, because if you feel horrible, look at the pretty pictures online and feel better. That's nice. That's a nice feeling. However, this relief is temporary, and it often leaves us with unresolved feelings, and that sucks. Number 2 is I went into why is feeling emotions physically important. I actually published an episode on that last week, like an entire episode. But, for those who didn't listen to it, research in somatic psychology highlight that unprocessed emotions are stored in the body. like literally you take it with you in your body and you store it in there. At least the women do. And this is often causing tension. It can cause chronic pain, other physical symptoms. Allowing yourself to feel the emotion and most importantly, release the emotions that come up, prevent them from becoming trapped in your body. So temporary discomfort of actually feeling the shame, the anger, whatever you're feeling, actually helps you in the long run. And then there is one other important thing, and luckily this is something I didn't have to learn because I actually learned this in school. I studied at Hotel School The Hague, which is basically, I got a bachelor's degree in business administration, but the focus of the entire school revolves around hotel management. So one of the classes we took is training management skills. And I think that might be the most wonderful thing I've ever done in my life, because it sets you up for so much success later on if you're able to receive feedback, if you're able to give feedback, how should you handle in a leadership role, etc. And honestly, they should just teach that in every school in the entire world. One of the things we learned in there is do not react from emotion. This is something I've always taken with me, whether it was in a leadership role or even in my marriage. We hardly ever fight. And that is because we have both agreed, like we shook hands on it, to not respond from emotion. So if the emotions are rising, if we have a discussion and we feel that we are getting emotional about it, we just pause the discussion and we just say, okay, cut it out. We'll come back to it at another moment when we are not feeling this emotional, so we can rationally talk about it. I know it's not sexy. It's very rational, and it's not like a big fight and then making it up later on or something. It's just very down to earth, but it's a very nice way to handle it, because that way it never really gets out of hand. Because acting while emotions are high, it often leads to impulsive decisions that don't align with your values and your goals. When that amygdala in your brain takes over, this is the prefrontal cortex, which I only know from CSI. This is the part of the brain that's responsible for rational thinking. It becomes less active. The amygdala just blots the prefrontal cortex out. This is why pausing and reflecting is critical for making decisions you won't regret later on. I could have gone into the Slack channel and started a discussion about stop calling my job non-critical. Who do you think you are? If it weren't for me, there wouldn't be any money and you couldn't do your job. Would it be classy? No, absolutely not. Would it be necessary? No, also not. If you step out of the emotion and you see all those responses that you could have said later on, they are usually not classy, not necessary. It would just be better to say, I'm sorry to have bothered you. I'll try to fix it in another way. Just whatever you want to do. Don't handle from emotion, because it usually doesn't end well, and it just gets you further into discussions. This is what's happening online, isn't it? With comments on posts where people feel personally attacked by just a random post on the internet, and they blow on their fingers and they get onto their keyboards and they're just going, oh, I'm gonna call this person out. Then that person responds and you get the discussions, and it's, if we just all could stop feeling attacked and maybe realize why you're feeling triggered and write that out before you respond, I think the world would be a better place. So yeah, do not act from emotion. Yeah, one other thing I learned to do this year is taking a moment at the end of your day to reflect. And I want to challenge you to do the same. Reflect. Where did you give your power away today? And what would you do differently next time? This is such a lovely thing to do. I just, right before I go to sleep, I lie in my bed and I think about the day. Did I give my power away? You can feel what comes up for you, because sometimes you think about the big things. Sometimes it can be as small as responding aggressively to another car driver that swerved onto your lane or something. It doesn't have to be There doesn't have to be another person directly involved for you to give your power away. It can also be just a response to something that's happening that's bigger than it should be, that you might regret later on, that threw you off your balance. Maybe that's a good way to explain it. And for me, sometimes it will be that I snapped at my kids and I got angry with them over something minor because it was happening at just an opportune time or something, It can be an incident like this. It could be on the road. It doesn't really matter. It could be a response in my head to my mom sending me a text message. Did you give your power away? Doing that consistently has really helped me to be a calmer person, to be a more grounded person, because I don't want to give my power away. I want to keep it and put it to use for good things, for beautiful things, and giving it away to other people, whether direct or indirectly, that's making my power unavailable to me. So it's a really, really good exercise to do right before you go to sleep. Where did you give your power away? What could you do differently next time if you did it? Yeah, so I challenge you to try this for a week and see how it changes your mindset. If this message resonates with you, share this episode with a friend who needs to hear it. Maybe you have one of those really hot-headed friends who is always responding from emotion, and they really should stop doing that. Yeah, so send it to them if they need it. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Female Entrepreneurs Network podcast. I hope you loved what you heard today. And if you did, it would mean a world to me if you could leave a review. Because believe it or not, reviews on podcasts are actually still used to make sure more people get to see this podcast in their screens and maybe click on it and learn something as well. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.